Adoption of the agenda. Commissioners, are there any additions or changes to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to add a letter that I received from Governor Benton.
What would you like to add to it, Commissioner Jackson?
Information update.
Information update. I would like to move the York Health Care Authority Section B down to information update as well after Ms. Jackson.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman. You'd like to move what?
Move the York Health Care Authority Section B down to information update Section L right after Ms. Jackson.
Okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add Chamber of Commerce under, that can be new business under K, right under reimbursement of MECA rules. And also...
You said under Section K, Commissioner Campbell?
Yes, sir. What is it? Chamber of Commerce. And also I'd like to add to the travel for the ACA convention myself next week.
And I would like to also add myself, if I can get my last minute arrangements together on that. Well, you want to add that after request for travel, Commissioner Campbell?
Yes, right after the request, right in addition with that.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
If there are no other changes, I entertain a motion to adopt the minutes, adopt the agenda rather.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved by Commissioner Campbell, second by Commissioner Walker to adopt the agenda with the noted changes. All in favor of the motion? By the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, Ms. Mary, unanimously. Approval of the minutes for November 12th, 2014, regular session, Section A.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motion by Commissioner Campbell, second by Commissioner Walker, that we approve the minutes for November 12th, 2014, regular session, Section A. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye. All opposed, same sign. Ayes have it unanimously, Ms. Mary. Old business, Sumter Sewer Authority, appointment of members, Section C. Do we have any name for appointment? If we don't, I'll entertain a motion at this time that we table the Sumter Sewer Authority appointment.
Before we that, just ask, I know we had Miss Wildman, Lillian Wildman. Did that get straightened out?
No, she is no longer going to be able to serve.
Okay.
So we've got to replace her.
Okay, she's on that list too.
She's on that list.
Okay.
We've already replaced two,
Okay.
but we need to replace her.
Mr. Chairman, motion that we table this item.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Campbell, second by Commissioner Walker, that we table the Sumter Sewer Authority appointment, Section C. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, Ms. Mary, unanimously. Reports, County Administrator, Financial, approval of claims and payroll, Section D.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Campbell, second by Commissioner Walker, that we approve claims and payroll, Section D. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Ayes have it unanimously, Ms. Mary. Request for travel and advance, Section E.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Campbell, seconded by Commissioner Walker, that we approve the request for travel and advance, Section E. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye. All opposed, same sign. Ayes have it, Ms. Mary, unanimously. Ms. Margaret Bishop Gully, EMA Director.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good evening.
Great. No report today.
Thank you.
And I will dismiss.
That weather condition didn't pan out to be as bad as they thought.
We were blessed again.
Amen.
Once again.
Amen. Thanks for the updates.
You're welcome. Have a great evening.
County Attorney.
Thank you.
No report.
Thanks, sir. County Engineer is not present. Do we have anything from the crew?
Yes,
Mr.
the
Cocker?
server item listed F through M.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we adopt this road closing policy that has been submitted from the association. And
I
Section
second the
M.
motion.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Campbell, seconded by Commissioner Jackson, that we...
It's the road conditions policy.
Yes.
that we accept the road closing policy.
Not closing, conditions
Condition.
policy.
Yes, it's a mistake on our agenda. It's road conditions policy.
It states it right here.
Yes. Yes.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Campbell, seconded by Commissioner Jackson, to accept the roads condition policy as presented from our county engineer. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, Ms. Mary, unanimously. Section G, Surveying Engineering Services by Dynamic Civil Solutions and Alidot Resolution, Section G.
So moved.
Miss- Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Campbell, seconded by Commissioner Jackson, that we accept the Surveying and Engineering Services Dynamic Civil Solutions and Alidot Resolution, Section G. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes have it. Ms. Mary, unanimously. Section H, Development Lagoon Renewal Application.
I so move that we renew the Bellamy Lagoon application. Permit.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Jackson that we approve the application for the Development Lagoon Renewal, Section H, and seconded by Commissioner Walker. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye. All in favor of the aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, Ms. Mary, unanimously. Next on the agenda is Section M, Alderman Associates Incorporated Request to Transfer Contract. Section M.
So moved.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Campbell and seconded by Commissioner Walker to accept the transfer of contract, Section M, by Alderman Associates Incorporated. Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes have it, Ms. Mary, unanimously. Maintenance Supervisor, Mr. Moore.
No report.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Under new business, we have the authorization for a grant application, Section I.
Sure. Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the Alabama Department of Economic Community Affairs application under Section I.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Campbell, that we accept the authorization of the grant application as presented in Section I. Any questions on the motion?
Mr. Chairman, I think this was also pertaining to the letter that I had that I wanted to add to it, that I sent to all of you, that Governor Bentley had sent to us,
Associated with the...
associated with this ADECA grant.
Okay. All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Ayes have it unanimously, Ms. Mary. Section J, fire hydrants. Mr. Campbell, is that something you had
Yes,
wanted
sir.
to be
Yes, sir. And I see we have some of people here. Yes, sir. Thank you so much for coming up. Would you like to come up for a second, if you don't mind, please?
Get the chairman there.
Thank you. You mind coming up for a second, please, sir? Thank you. I didn't see you, Mr. Smith. Excuse me. Good to see you, Mr. Smith.
Good to see you.
All right. Again, thank you for coming out. Thank you all for coming out.
Matter of fact, if I could, this is Mr. Collins, our member.
Okay. Okay.
And of course, Mr. Cross is our attorney.
Yes, sir. Thank you all for coming out. I had some contact with some of the fire chiefs, and I appreciate the job that you all have done with repairing some of the hydrants. But there was still some questions out there concerning some of the hydrants that hadn't been repaired. And the chiefs just wanted to know what would be the next step. To my understanding, Mr. Reese came over one day, and it was told to him that he needed to cease work at that moment, and it was a funding issue to the understanding of the information I received. And I just wanted to see if it was any other steps will be made soon, or are we seeking to get another person to fix the hydrants, or what might happen next?
On the hydrant, there are a number of hydrants throughout the system that are inoperable.
Okay.
It is more than we can afford to repair, just go out and repair.
Okay.
So we had instructed the manager to repair hydrants as he could, one at a time,
Okay.
as funds and resources and their time allows.
Okay.
He had asked Mr. Reese to come over and repair hydrants, and he had Mr. Reese repairing hydrants in one area, just going in to repair hydrants in one area. And we would end up spending probably $4,000 or better dollars in just one fire district area. There being 17, 18 different fire districts, we can't afford to spend that much money in one district. That's the reason we're giving him the instruction to repair one in one district, move to another district as time permitting, funds allow, repair another one. And somehow he got off the guidelines we had set,
Okay.
and I stopped it.
Okay.
And I brought it before the board of directors, and they agreed that he wasn't following what we asked him to do.
Okay.
And until we can kind of work out the details and get it back going again, either our people will repair them as they can, and they're busy all the time doing something
Okay.
about the system. 1,000 miles of lines, always something wrong, either at a well or a pumping station or a break on the line or something. So they're kind of busy.
Okay.
That's the reason he invited Mr. Reese to come over. But it wasn't just an open-end thing that he come over and fix everything broke.
Okay.
Now, if there are some funding sources that the volunteer fire people care to offer, or the commission care to offer, to get them repaired, then we could schedule it, and get them repaired. Just get someone to come in or bid it out however we need to do to get them repaired.
Okay.
I think it's worth saying is there are 291 different flush plugs and flush hydrants on the system.
Okay.
And that's more than enough that we need for flushing lines for the water authority purpose.
Okay.
So, and some problems we have, matter of fact, we have a letter to y'all explaining everything,
Okay.
and we'll give that to you.
Okay.
There are more issues than just going out repairing hydrants. We are responsible for the safety of the water, so things have to be done, according to the guidelines that we set. We are responsible, the board is responsible. So we set the guidelines for the operation, and the employees have to follow.
Okay.
And Mr. Watson is giving y'all a folder of information concerning fire hydrants, and a recent letter today to you all explaining things about fire hydrants and what we have done and what we're willing to do, and that kind of stuff.
Okay. All right. Thank you. So as of right now, you had, as you stated, you had to cease until funding. That's basically the issue on.
Right. If somehow y'all can arrange the funding to get all those that are broken repaired, and we could kind of work with the process to get them repaired. But we can't afford funding.
Okay. All right. Do you know around the county, overall around the county, how many still are not operating?
I do not.
Okay.
Mr. Harrison sent out a letter in 2011, I want to say,
Okay.
asking for the fire chief to report
Broken.
what was broken. One or two departments did,
Okay.
and we have repaired, say, I think Cortoba reported at least two. We repaired one. Bellamy reported two. We repaired one. Lloyd reported, I think, four.
Right.
Prospect reported two, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And the idea was for him to go to Boyd and repair one. Mr. Parkinson, who lives in Boyd, had recommended the one at the firehouse. And that makes sense. That's where the truck is. So that was I intend to go repair that one, go to Prospect,
Okay.
repair one, and our guys know of some in the system. Go and repair one here, one there as they can.
Yes.
We have instructed them to make a list of hydrants they know don't work, to put them on a list, and if the fire department call and report one that's not working, to put it on the list, and then just follow the process. But now it's going to be, I would imagine, let's say if 4 is inoperable in Boyd, and you could easily guess probably 3 in every 5 districts not working, 2 or 3 in every 5 districts. So that's going to be a large number.
Okay.
So if the funds can be arranged, we can get them done.
You know, that's the $1 zillion
Yeah.
comment,
Yeah.
however you might want to label it. But I'm glad you brought that up because I know, and I'm sure some of the other commissioners might hear some of that too from some of their fire chiefs in their districts as well. And I know that is a major concern. And you feel for them. I feel for them when they say they have to go load up. And just thank God we hadn't had an incident where they didn't have to be somewhere and trying to load up. But if we can, you all board, just maybe some way or another, as soon as we can. I know funding is the key to making everything go around, but I know we do need to try to get those done. And everything.
Keep in mind, Mr. Campbell, that we are citizens out there too, in the rural.
Yes, sir.
We're protected by the fire department.
Yes, sir.
So we have an interest in seeing them doing an excellent job
Yes, sir.
and want to help them, but we can't fund it.
Yes, sir.
We were set up to supply good quality drinking water for household use. And we do a pretty good job, if I had to say so myself. We do a pretty good job at that. So the funds we get, we have to put it back in the system. A large county-wide system, it takes a lot to keep it going. And we just don't have extra funds to do things that it hasn't in it, that doesn't have anything to do with our mission.
Well, Mrs. Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
I think you all are doing an excellent job,
Thank
and
you.
we appreciate what you all are doing.
Thank you.
However, I think the fire department, volunteer fire departments, need to get with you all, and I believe that's what we decided in one of our commissioners' meeting, that they would get with you all to decide on how that this would be funded, because someone did mention that, and I don't have the minutes as to the meeting, but I do recall it being brought up to our attention about it. So I think the volunteer fire department needs to get with the board authority, because they are funded.
If it costs $4,000 to repair, what it cost to put a new one in?
Well, that $4,000 wasn't to repair one. They did three. Probably going to have done four before we get up in that figure. They repaired one flush hydrant. It was $600.
Okay.
And they repaired a second one. I think it was $600, and another one, which probably was a little bigger, it was $900. So of those three, that was $1,500. And I talked to Mr. Arrington about it, and he said there was another one that was repaired, would probably cost more than the $1,500. So that's why I estimated $4,000 in board. But to replace a hydrant, we gave an estimate to a department that had approached us a few years back about installing a hydrant at their fire station. And as cheaply as we could have done it then, and I want to say it was at least 3 years ago, was about $2,300, 23 plus.
For a new one?
For a new one. We put it in ourselves, and not really charging them full price, trying to help them. But to really put one in, almost hardly, it probably would take $3,000 or more, $3,500 or something like that, full price, to get someone else to come in. And we had quoted them that figure to try to help them, and they turned it down.
And we are not, the water authority is not part of our responsibility. It's a total separate thing. We just appoint the board.
Right. And we appreciate y'all's appointment, appreciate y'all's support. But I would make this request. If when a customer, a water customer, or fire department chief, or fighter, or whatever, approach you concerning water issues, ask them to come to our meeting and talk to us. That's where they'll find the answers, They don't have to send messages and that kind of thing. We have an open meeting, open to the public, and we are cordial, and we're respectful and all that kind of stuff. And we'll try to help them, but they really, if they have a problem about the water, or a question about the water, they really need to kind of bring it up there to us.
Right, and that was stated to them, and I know some of them said due to their working schedule. I think, what time you all meet during the day?
On the second Tuesday at 1 o'clock.
And I think that has been a concern for some of them that work. That time of day is 1 o'clock. I mean, for a working person, and you know, you have empathy in that respect as well, that unless they could get a representative to be there. And I know that was one of the concerns around that time of day to them as well. But it was forced to them to talk to you all, and hopefully soon you all can, the board and them can get together, and where this can be collaborative effort to get resolved and everything.
We were meeting at 5 o'clock for years, and
Nobody showed.
they didn't show. So it's not about the time. It's about they want us to pay for it. We can't pay for it. That's the bottom line. So if y'all come up with the funding, we'll have it.
I wish we could.
Ms. Carastone, are there any funds out there for such a thing as this? Ms. Stallman is a grant writer.
Yeah, not to necessarily replace them all system-wide. I mean, you could do it on a discrete project in one particular area. You could put that as project cost if there were water needs available. If you know if they had to upgrade the pipes or the lines, things like that. But
Is there anyone here from the Volunteer Firefighters Association this evening? No, because I would love for us to get at least get a number of hydrants that need replacing, so that I guess the Water Authority as well as the Firefighters Association would actually have a number, so that at least we could come up with a estimate as far as what it would cost to replace all of them and find out how many exactly there are. So maybe, Mr. Ward?
I just had a question. Someone, a Millville Road resident, came by the office once and suggested that he and his church members wanted to pay for theirs to be replaced, and wanted me to find out, some details. What would it cost to replace, or to repair, I should say, a hydrant? Estimate cost. And is there an arrangement if, let's say, members of a community or congregation or something wanted to try to raise the funds to do it, or is there an arrangement for water customers to pay, let's say, for example, in a certain area, if they wanted to pay an extra $5 or $10 a month on their bill towards the replacing of fire hydrants? Is there any way that groups or individuals or residents could get involved?
That's a very, very good point, Mr.
Now,
Ward.
we have
So I
had-
would suggest that we just allow that question to be addressed to the Water Authority, and I think it's a very good question of a way to get it paid for. And I think with the chairman and board members here, that may be something they would consider.
Can they answer that question?
Well-
Are they going to refer us back to you?
I don't.
That's the reason why I'm asking you both here together.
I didn't know you were kind of
Well,
looking at Mr.
go
it's his
ahead and answer. Go ahead and
business.
answer that, Mr. Smith. Go ahead and answer that. Good question,
No,
sir.
I'm following your lead.
Well, I guess Mr. Ward was asking, is there a way that the customers themselves could actually have an additional fee added for a period of time to actually cover the cost of replacement or installing fire hydrants?
That is something that we really would have to discuss and come up with a procedure to do. We have to discuss it in our meeting. But I will say this, we were approached and some years ago by a fire department that wanted to put hydrants on their system, which was going to be a number, quite a number. I don't remember the number, I'll just say 19 or so, hydrants on the system. And what we required in instance where there are a number of hydrants to be placed is that it be presented to our engineer, and he studied the system to see where those hydrants can be placed, and if that particular number of hydrants can be placed on the system and not degrade our ability to do what we are doing.
You said
Then it can
replace,
be
but
paid.
currently they are repairing.
Right.
What is the average cost of repair?
That's what I quoted a moment ago. It depends on the size. The 4-inch flush hydrant, I think, depends on what's wrong with the hydrant too. The last one we repaired was $900 for flush hydrant. But now I don't know in particular what all was done inside of the hydrant.
So if a resident or a community wanted to come in and say, we want this hydrant repaired,
Right.
can they write you a check to get it done?
They can write the authority a check and we'll schedule it in 2 hour work.
Commissioner Campbell, go ahead, Mr.
Mr.
Jackson.
Smith, what do you think, what do you all, have you all found that's the problem? Because I've seen people from Fayette County and different places come in and use the fire hydrant.
That's the problem.
And that's what I'm wondering, if this is part of the problem where strangers are coming in and maybe our citizens need to police their areas.
That would be good and helpful. We do have people often that come in and use them. People that have farms or forest stands, spray them. Rarely do they come to the Water Authority and say, we want to spray in this area, would you give us a meter and assign us a hydrant. They just come in and do it. And some of the hydrants are torn up like that. Some of them have been out there for 30, 40 years. And
Commission just make that a misdemeanor if you wanted to.
Okay, so we can
Yeah, you can
make
regulate
we can regulate that and make a fine too.
Yeah, but that is a problem, unauthorized use of hydrant. That's the reason we are kind of hesitant, I should say, on adding more out there. The more out there, the more they can be abused.
If this is the desire of the commission, we'll ask Attorney Pruitt to come up with a resolution that we could pass to actually.
I think we'll have to make that motion on.
Well, we're not passing, we're just
that.
asking
You
him
want
to
me to
do the
present
research.
one
Right.
at the next
Yes.
meeting? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Smith, I thank you all in the board. Thank you, Chairman Smith and the board. I didn't see you right there as
That's
early.
fine.
And
If I could, I'd like to
Yeah,
add one thing.
allow them to.
The system's not really a fire protection system, and it provides drinking water. So a lot of places, the lines are not sufficient of the pressure to actually fight a fire. Obviously,
Okay.
you could load a truck with a flush hydrant, but it's a lot different doing that and fighting a fire with it.
okay.
Just want to be sure we're clear on that.
Okay, thank you. Let me ask you this too, along those lines. Maybe is there something maybe the volunteers might need more training on? Maybe your people maybe open up the hydrants a little different from them. And I know I heard the pins were a problem. Maybe it could be something done with the associations for its training to make sure that can be eliminated.
There's a need for that. The hydrant that was repaired and bored, Mr. Reese instructed Mr. Boyd up there on how to properly use it. Prior to that, we had repaired some hydrants in one district and suggested to the chief to have the field supervisor come down and give them some training on it. And I got a cursing out for even suggested they don't know how to operate a hydrant. So,
Oh my God.
so it's,
Chairman, can you get Richard to work with me?
yes, sir. That would be fine. That would be fine.
Also, Commissioner Campbell, if I would love to work with you as far as maybe checking with the Volunteer Firefighters Association, see if they can get an accurate count of the ones that need repairing or replacing right now.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
because I have not heard anyone from my district names brought up, so they may not know about it. So I have to contact them too.
Mr. Chairman, we'll see if we can work with them to see if we can get an accurate number as far as maybe you all can go out and give an assessment as far as what the total cost would be to replace or repair the hydrants that we're having issues with, sir.
That'd be fine. Let me see if Mr. Collins, if it's okay. See
Yes, sir.
Mr. Collins, what you got to say?
Yeah, I think it's fine. We are definitely would like to work with the fire departments and with the commission. We do want to do the right thing for our customers.
Mr. Cross, since we're all here.
Well, if I could just make one little editorial comment,
Please do.
and one other thing. Just so you know, the water bills in Sumter County are $12.50 for up to 2,500 gallons. The state average is over $20. So we've got a significant price reduction compared to everybody else. So I think that's a sign that the authority is well run, it's got quality water, and personally I'm proud of that. One thing that as attorney for the water authority I'm concerned about is I would hate to see us held liable in some event if there's a fire and somebody says there's not enough pressure at a hydrant. And so that's the reason Mr. Warwickton mentioned we're not a fire protection system. You know, this system has been built on a piecemeal basis. Lots of it is 3 inches, maybe 4 inches, but we got some 2-inch lines. And so the bottom line is we just can't be responsible for the volume of water that might be necessary. Now, we're certainly in favor of trying to provide any and all water that's needed in a situation like that. It just may be that we're limited on what can be done. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Go ahead, Commissioner Campbell.
Yes,
Any other
sir.
commissioner have any questions before?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Smith.
All right.
Section K, reimbursement, McElroy Trucking Company. Our tax collector as well as our county administrators made us aware that due to the method of calculations of ad valorem taxes on commercial trucks that the county commission has to reimburse McElroy Trucking Company. We have a proposed schedule that Ms. Cochran has presented to us here in Section K. Half we withheld from December 2014 receipts of taxes from the tax collector, and the other half in December 2015 from the Sumter County tax collector.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the reimbursement for McElroy Trucking Company
Schedule.
is scheduled.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Jackson that we accept the proposal as presented by our county administrator in reimbursing McElroy Trucking Company, and seconded by Commissioner Campbell. Any questions on the motion?
I would like to personally thank McElroy Trucking Company for going along with us with this, because they did not have it to do.
Any other questions, comments on the motion? All in favor of the motion by sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Ayes have it unanimously. Ms. Mary. Information update. No, I'm sorry. I need to go back to my other one. Sorry. Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Campbell.
Commissioners, the Chamber is asking us for a letter of support for a Promise Zone initiative where we are included with 4 other counties, and this initiative will help us to get federal funders, meeting more with Congress along the lines. This letter of support is something going out for 10 years, so it's a good initiative. 4 other counties are involved in it in the Black Belt, and again, they are just asking for a letter of support from us, and it's a Promise Zone initiative, Commissioners.
Do they have any information on that?
Yes, like what I was saying.
Documentation or anything?
No, all the information I got was this letter of support is going to help us along the county lines in Sumter County, as well as with the 4 other counties along the Black Belt, to seek out the federal grants. It would be something that will be presented to our Congresswoman on that level. And as we apply for different things to better Sumter County and being part of the Black Belt, this initiative will help us go forward. I think it's a great initiative. Anytime we can get something to go along those lines will be very, very helpful.
And according to the letter also that I had an opportunity to look at, it's basically asking us to continue doing the same thing as far as in-kind services that we're already providing for the chamber, and that if you all would like to get a copy of it, do you have a copy of that you could present to them after? And I would ask that we approve it contingent that our attorney and administrator get a chance to look at it. I think it's something that's pretty commonplace, is asking for the governmental agency to designate Sumter County and the other 4 counties as a promise zone.
Yes.
Basically tax credits and stuff like that.
Could we, is it urgent that we
Yes,
pass it now?
Yes,
or can
ma'am.
we
Yes,
table
ma'am.
it until we see some documentation?
I think it's a good thing now. And what it was, I know that the director who was over this, they were trying to get the information last week, but I stated to them we don't meet till today to have it as a board action item. So again, this is something that's been going on, and at this time, Commissioner Armstead, I'd like to make a motion that we give a letter of support to the chamber in addition to the other 4 counties who have already done this.
Is there a second on the motion?
Yes, sir.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Campbell, seconded by Commissioner Hall, that we accept the letter of support, give a letter of support for the Promise Zone to the Chamber of Commerce, which would include the 4 additional counties for the Promise Zone initiative. Any questions on the motion? All in favor? Yes, sir.
I probably would vote on it, but I'd like to read the document.
Yes, sir. And if we want to put stipulations on it that we allow our county attorney to review it, because I think the deadline is this Thursday. They want to have it submitted. Wednesday, rather, they want to have it submitted. And I don't know why it should have been forwarded to us prior to now by the chamber or someone, but it's not anything that's going to cost us any money. It's a good thing for Sumter County, actually.
Well,
So
a lot of things don't cost any money, but it costs something else.
I'm not disagreeing, but I'm sure Commissioner Campbell wouldn't be presenting it if it wasn't something that was going to be bad for the county.
I like to read it. Before.
It was basically just a letter of support.
That's all.
Right.
Because the guy called me too. It was just a letter. He just wanted our support.
Well, it could be a letter of support, but support of what? It could be support of something wrong, something not agreeable. That don't mean anything. You got to know what you're supporting.
I think we got a motion on the table, Mr. Chairman.
It's open for questions right now. We got a motion and a second. The floor is open for questions.
Can we put a contingency on it by let Attorney Pruitt look at it for his approval?
Are you willing to amend your motion to state that, Commissioner Campbell?
I mean, it's
Well, I guess
I'd like to read the letter too. I mean, I just wanted to know what it is we're looking at.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'd like to know before I vote on something I don't know about.
Well, I refuse to vote for something I don't know about.
I do too.
Well, is it, Mr. Campbell? Do you have that to a point where can you forward that?
Yeah, I will forward it to you.
To have it printed right now. I mean, the deadline is for Sumter County to be participant on Friday. It has to be supported. So, is it possible to maybe forward it to our county administrator, and you could print that for us to be able to review that, Ms. Carper?
LC.
Okay, I got to turn this back on too.
Okay. Because if the deadline wasn't approaching, we would table the motion, table the agenda item, but the deadline is coming close, and it's not a very long letter, and I understand why you all want to read it, but we'll just take time to make sure that we can read that so we can provide that letter of support for the Promise Zone initiative, sort of kind of like getting tax credits for Sumter County overall when applying for grants and other things, so we can forward this address at Commissioner.
Pass this around so y'all can read it. I sent it to get y'all a hard copy, but
You already forwarded?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, but I'm just going to pass this around.
I'm like, yeah, mine is hard to read, though. Mr. Campbell, would you care to read that out loud?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That would kind of save me time, if you don't mind.
Okay, all right. Okay, Commissioners, this email is from Brenna Tuck, Director of the Marengo County Economic Development Authority, regarding a letter of support from the Sumter County Commission for the Promise Zone Initiative. The Promise Zone Initiative is a collaboration between 5 counties in the Black Belt: Sumter, Dallas, Marengo, Perry, and Wilcox. This initiative will give us a 10-year designation by Congress with great benefits, including higher scores on federal grants and more grant opportunities, vista workers, and tax incentives. We are hoping that you could print the letter out on the commission letterhead, sign it, and email it back to either one of us. There is no fee. But they're asking for this to be done by this Thursday. And that was coming from, again, Ms. Brenda Tuck, Director of the Marengo County Economic Development Authority. Promise Zone letter of support.
You already seen. Okay, I'm sure it's Commissioner Walker. You said.
Yes, sir. Mr. Dalton, are you familiar with the Promise Zone? No.
No, but there's a lot of different initiatives similar to that help you. It's probably a new one.
All right, this one's going to the Secretary of the Oversight, Department of Agriculture, where that designation would actually be considered a gift and or given. Any other questions on the motion?
Let Cinda look at it. Let him sing. Did you need to see her?
Attorney Pruitt, do you have any concerns about that at this point?
No, I don't have any. I'm familiar with things of this type. It's similar to, on a smaller scale, to the Delta Regional or some of these other areas where Congress can include amendments in the agriculture budget, for example, where they give special incentives if jobs are created in the counties designated. More and more promotion for industrial development and other development, economic development, is done on a regional basis as opposed to a county by county basis. So I don't see anything that would make me worry about it.
Any other questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. The ayes have it unanimously, Ms. Mary. Next agenda item, under information update, section L, ACCA district meetings and county days. Just basic information informing us as far as reminding us about the district meeting and county days. Also, we have the ACCA proposed bylaws and amendments that will be voted on at that particular meeting. Next, Ms. Jackson, you had an agenda item added to the agenda.
Yeah, what it was, I had gotten a letter from Governor Bentley thanking the citizens from the Hodges Dow Road for sending him a thank you letter for approving the grant, the ADECA grant,
Is that basically the same one as
to
this?
pave that road.
That's not
Yes.
the CD, that's the same one as this on the agenda here? Or is it something different?
Yes, that's the
Okay.
same one that's on the
Okay, so you're going to go
agenda.
ahead and cover that while we're talking about that?
Yeah, we
I think that was a grant for the law enforcement officers.
Okay,
You know what I mean? I don't think the CDBG grant's the next one on the item
right,
that's on there.
okay.
I think there was a $10,000 grant the sheriff's department is putting together, correct?
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I think that's what that was.
This one is pertaining to this.
Okay. Was there anything else you wanted to bring up on that we discussed? About the letter, would you like to read it, or?
Said, Dear Commissioner Russ Jackson, ADECA Director Jim Beard visited with me this afternoon and shared the kind letter from you and the Hodges Dial Road residents in Sumter County. As I said in the grant award letter, you are to be commended for working to improve the quality of life for your community. It is my honor to play a role in that effort. As always, I thank you for your support and letting folks in your area know that I care about them. Sincerely, Robert Bentley, Governor.
Again, we'd like to take our hats off to Commissioner Jackson for spearheading the project and getting the funding of $350,000 for road paving. Shows her continued commitment for making sure that she can help the communities in the county overall. Thank you, Commissioner Jackson. Good job. That's all.
I can, Mr. Chairman, can we do the next item, the CDBG grant, right now?
It was my intentions, Commissioners, to have that after the CDGB grant, but I think I said after the information update, if I'm not mistaken. What did you all mark the York Health Care Authority at?
Last item.
Last item, okay. In that case, yes, ma'am.
Great.
That's next agenda item.
Good evening, Chairman. Commissioners, my name is Kara. I'm a grant writer, and I worked with Ms. Jackson and the Commission to put together the application for your CDBG grant award that we just talked about. Tonight, we just have, these are very general housekeeping items. There's 4 resolutions before you, and I think it would be great if we could adopt all 4 of them at the same time, just to be expedient. The first resolution is just a standard resolution that accepts the grant. It's something that you have to do to acknowledge the grant. The grant will provide $350,000, and the county will match the grant with $50,000, but that will be in-kind equipment and labor. So there'll be no real cash. It'll just be the cost of the equipment, fixing the roads, and then the labor associated with those things. So that's the first resolution. The second resolution is that these grants require, there's a lot of paperwork, require a grant administrator to administer those. And this next resolution is just to authorize to begin advertising for your search for a grant administrator, following procurement rules and regulations. And what that is that you'll advertise through an RFP, and then Ms. Cockrell will get proposals from grant consultants, and then in meeting in January, y'all can rank and review and then award to a grant consulting firm. The next resolution is just a resolution adopting a variety of different policies that you have to have in place. And you probably have all of these in place already, but this is just good to do it again with updated. There's new bid laws, there's new things that change. The policies are a procurement policy, a standards of conduct policy, a plan for minimizing displacement, and a transition plan that has to do with handicapped access. And then the final resolution is just a fair housing resolution, which says that the Sumter County Commission will ensure everybody has fair housing. This grant has nothing to do with housing, but it's HUD money, so they always like you to ensure that you're fair on those bases. So we're excited to get this grant off the ground and get it finished and get these roads paved so we can reapply again in the next couple of years and do another great project. So that's all I have for you tonight.
And applying for these grants, you say the next couple of years. So what you saying would be a couple of more years before we can reapply?
Yes, it will be. By the time we get all this off the ground, and then we have just a rough timeline is you get the grant administrator hired, then we'll work with Anthony to get the materials purchased and procured, and then bid those out, and then actually do the construction. That'll probably continue into 2015. So y'all will have to reapply in 2016. Okay.
So, does this grant have to be completed before you can?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
This grant has to be closed out and completed. And I've been doing this for a while. You can't do them faster than 2 years.
Okay.
And also ADECA, even if you did it in a year, they wouldn't give you the money back to back.
Okay,
You know, they like to spread it out
Okay.
throughout the state.
thank you.
But yeah, congratulations. I'm thrilled. I'm honored to be working with y'all. I'm really excited about this project.
Great.
We make a great team, Miss Jackson and I, and Commissioner Campbell. We went out there, we worked hard, and so thanks to Ms. Cockrell for pulling minutes. We had everybody working really hard during the application
And
phase back in
James.
July. And James. We had everybody working. I mean, we had them all. But it's a road project. ADECA does not like to fund road paving projects. It was the only one they funded in the state.
Is
So
that
I'm
right?
really proud, and y'all should be very
Huh.
proud. So, and again, thanks, Ms. Jackson, for saying thank you. A lot of people just take money and they never give it back. So we appreciate that as well.
Hey,
Good job.
And thank you.
yeah.
Thank you.
After hearing that, I have a motion to accept the 4 resolutions as presented.
I so move.
Second.
It's been motioned by Commissioner Jackson, seconded by Commissioner Walker, that we accept the resolutions as presented in Section N. Ms. Cockrell, you had an opportunity to review these already. Any other questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion by the sign of aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Ayes have it. Ms. Mary, unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Thomas.
Thank you.
Next agenda item is the York Healthcare Authority. I know that at our last meeting, this item was tabled pending additional information to be provided to our county administrator, as well as the 2 new commissioners, Commissioner Hall and Commissioner Easley, wanted to find out additional information, being that they were coming on as new commissioners. So at this time, have you all received all the information that was needed, requested, in order to satisfy the commissioners?
Ms. Cochran, have you gotten the resolution and the other information that we have requested?
I have not, I received a letter from email from Ms. Webb on Friday about lunchtime with the authorization, and I have not been to the hospital since we called. I mean, we're really since the board meeting on the 12th.
So you just got the,
Right, I got it on Friday, but I will say, it was really not my intent to go back. I really don't know why I really need to go back, because I'm not going to make a recommendation to you all. I'm just going to state my finding, and I think I've seen enough to be able to state my finding. And that's what I've done here. And again, this is not a recommendation. I'm just making statements of fact. But I did get her authorization on Friday, and I didn't go back to the hospital.
Pass them all around.
okay.
Well, I say I didn't make a recommendation. There's only one recommendation on here, and that's the last one. It is my recommendation that the hospital or York Healthcare Authority get an audit.
But since they can't afford an audit, why don't they request the state to come in and do an audit for them? Would that be a problem?
You can ask, but I don't know if they will actually.
Madam Chairman, would that be a problem for you all to request the state to come in and do an audit?
I don't think we have a problem with it. I don't think it's a problem, but I don't think it's something that the state would do for it.
Okay.
I don't think that's something that the state would do. I think we talked about that, Ms. Conklin.
No, I don't. Well,
Well, if
you
a
have to-
citizen requested it, couldn't they come in?
They have been known to come in situations, the entity, but I don't know. But now, in the event, like they're planning an audit, I know the CPA has to submit the engagement letters and so forth to the state auditors. And they also have to submit the audits to them. So
We can,
you know, you can ask,
Lord,
but
we
I
can ask
don't know.
Well, I think that in the funding agreement, that is one thing that operating funds would be used for, would be to have an audit completed. And, that's something that the healthcare authority has already talked about
Yes.
with the financial person as well as the administrator. And I think we even passed a motion to make sure that was part of the 2015 things to do, is to have an audit completed.
But now, you know, that was one of the things that was supposed to have been done with the money 2 years ago, when we got to $2 million, because we haven't finished paying for that.
Well, can I say something?
Sure.
I don't think we can do this without, well, the county can afford to do this without having an audit. Because we don't know where we're going. I mean, it's like just riding off a cliff. I mean, where are we going? Does that make sense?
I mean,
Because we need a starting point,
mhm.
and we don't have that.
Well, the issues that the healthcare authority are having is the fact that you have a tax lien that the IRS has put against the hospital and the healthcare authority, and you have two litigation lawsuits that more than likely the hospital would have to pay. Those are only two things, the issues that the resolution and the funding agreement are addressing. The healthcare authority realizes that an audit is going to be possible and needed. I mean, you're talking having an audit that may cost $50,000, $60,000, $70,000.
I think you could get one for cheaper than that.
If you all have information or you have an organization, if it's state, local, whatever, we're not saying that we do not want to audit. I agree. We need to know where we are and where we're going to go. If you have information, by all means, share it with us. Then we would pursue that. But like Commissioner Umstead is saying, we are pursuing an audit, starting, as a matter of fact, researching right now who can actually give us one. As a matter of fact, I talked with the Alabama Department of Public Health today, who is working with us on some grant funding to see if we get an organization that will come in and do an audit for us, and we not have to pay for it. But that's going to take a while. So we are exploring every possibility to make sure we get an audit. But yes, I agree, and the board agreed also that we will get an audit process started by January 2015. Am I correct on that?
So to have an audit done prior to deciding on the funding agreement is I understand what you're saying, but the funding to do it as well as the timing to do it, and again, the funding agreement is for taxes as well as operating expenses and litigation.
I understand that, but you're asking the county to take all the liability and not knowing what the liability is.
Actually, the only liability that the county would be taking would be
$5,000.
$5,000 per month if the
And
hospital.
that comes out of what?
No, that's if the hospital can't pay it back.
Well, how do we know?
Well,
I mean, there's no plan to me, I mean, all due respect, there's no plan going forward for the hospital. There's no plan.
Well,
I mean,
go ahead.
is there anything in writing to show anything on how they're going to go pay this money back?
Yes, sir.
I haven't seen it.
I understand. I think Ms. Wilson and the board has invited each commissioner down to talk to you all individually.
I came down there, I went down there Friday.
Today, I think Commissioner Campbell went. I didn't know you had already gone. I don't know if all your concerns were answered, other than the fact that you're saying that.
I don't know where we're at. I mean, it's basically, and like I say, I want to do. I care about Sumter County. I care about healthcare.
Well, prior to your coming on to the commission, Commissioner Ezell, the healthcare authority, along with the administrator and CFO, came and did a presentation to the county commissioners. And,
I was here.
Right.
I was in the crowd.
And that told us what they were doing differently as far as not getting back to where they are now, where we are now with the healthcare authority. I understand your concerns, and
I'm not blaming any. I'm not blaming you or any employee at the hospital. I'm just saying. I mean, there's things. I mean, 3 years ago we're in the same boat.
not exactly.
Just close.
Well, explain.
Close. How much bad taxes you have to pay for last time?
It was probably right at $1 million.
Okay, how much is it this time?
Right at $1 million.
I say no more.
Okay.
I mean, 3 years, that's $2 million. Go ahead.
Commissioner, I can't say what happened before I got
I
here.
know,
Okay, as far as what was paid, and it is unfortunate that we had a management company in there who not only didn't pay taxes, but didn't pay anything. To be told, and then I understand what you're saying, and I can't say, if you look at the finances now, it's going to be evident that we may not be able to pay $5,000, but we have put programs in place. We've put new things in place, new services in place, where it's projected that we are going to be able to pay $5,000 a month.
Okay, I understand that y'all trying to put things in place, but you're asking the county to take on a big burden. If correct me if I'm wrong, if we have to pay the $5,000, what does that come out of? General fund?
It's going to come out of general fund. When you do the budget, but really, if you adopted the resolution right now, you would have a situation where you would have to amend your budget and you would have to include the debt service for the balance of the fiscal year. And you're going to take it from general fund revenue. You're not going to, because the agreement says that the payment is going to accrue at the rate of $5,000. The agreement says nothing about payment. And I'll throw that to Attorney Pruitt. Am I correct, Attorney Pruitt?
You're right. You're correct.
Well, explain it.
The agreement says nothing about repayment?
It says accrue at
It says
$5,000.
accrues. It doesn't say it has to
Right.
be paid on.
Right, well, I think in the resolution, what that's talking about, bond payments are paid annually, right? So it accrues until that 12-month period, and it's paid one time per year. So that's what it's meant by the accrual aspect of it. So if I may have the floor one more time. Okay, to answer your question, Commissioner Ezell, yes, sir, there was a tax issue that the Healthcare Authority had acquired 2-3 years ago. There was a management company that came in after the funding agreement, the bond issue that the City of York floated. The County Commission was only into it for the appropriation of the waste tax funds. The County Commission is not responsible for paying anything unless the waste tax fell below the $50,000 was allocated to the hospital.
Correct.
The hospital is already getting the $50,000 from the waste tax funds.
I understand.
So the County Commission hadn't had to pay a penny from the time that the agreement was entered into up until this point here. So right now you have a fund in place that would indemnify the county if the waste tax went down to a certain level and the 1% sales tax from the City of York went down, you could go into that fund and draw out. You have a primary and a secondary fund. And that's the same way this was being set up. So, for example, there's not going to be any foolproof getting the county indemnified from saying, no, you would never have to pay. But you have a situation where health care in Sumter County is on the line here. And you have a situation, well, let me finish. You also have a situation, well, it's been brought up a couple of times as you've been on the commission. If the hospital closes, ambulance services, we already pay $10,500 per month. It's already been stated, if it closes, your ambulance service is about to travel an additional 30 miles, 25 miles. Your ambulance service will go up at least 40%. That's probably $5,000 per month. And you still don't have a hospital, but you still have to pay. So right now, there are every measure that the authority can put into it to indemnify the county as much as possible. But there are no foolproof methods to say you won't ever have to pay. But you have those funds set up to say, if the money's dropped, the county commission won't have to pay until this amount of money has been drawn out of this account. The Healthcare Authority got an A- rating from Standard & Poor's within the last 30 days. That bond issue is solid.
Yeah, with the county's backing.
Yeah, with the waste tax monies, the county is not having to spend any money. Never had to.
They hadn't yet.
Well, yeah, but you're looking at the possibility of something failing. We're looking at the
Has the
possibility
waste
of.
tax not dropped?
It has
Last
dropped.
year?
Yes, sir.
Who's to say it's not going to drop again this year?
Commissioner Ezel,
But you got to look forward. You can't just
we're not
look well in the
looking. We're not
future
looking for a way
and
for it to
now.
fail. We're looking for a way for it to succeed.
I'm not looking for a way for it to fail
Everything that we do, there's a possibility that it could fail. So if we're going to look for a method to say something that there's a possibility on many things. So you made your point. I understand your point.
It's just a gamble. I mean, you need something.
You're gambling on health care for our people.
Do you want the whole county to go down? I mean, is it
gambling
going
for-
to come? I mean, what is it going to come? Is it going to come? 2 years from now, we need more money. 2 years from now, we need more money.
That's a possibility.
And
I'm not saying it's not going to happen. It's a
You're putting a
possibility.
burden on the taxpayer then.
So
Eventually, you will.
What's your alternative?
I think we need to explore new alternatives besides a bond issue. Let's look at something else. I mean, has it got to be exactly a bond? Can't we look at something else to do?
Well, right now, I think that the people I represent, the hospital being my district, and it's servicing every commissioner around this table, I think that should be a high priority among all of us. If the hospital, if the commissioner had to pay $5,000 a month for health care, it's worth it. It is worth every penny. But we're putting together, in place, everything that you could possibly do to indemnify the county from having to pay anything. You would have that fund in place. If the tax money is dropped, you draw out of that fund. So-
Where's this fund? What fund? Where's this fund?
It'll come out of the funding agreement. X amount of dollars will be set aside to protect the county.
But where's the X
It's an
amount of
escrow
dollars?
account, escrow account, right here in Region Bank.
That's the one that we have set right now.
This a bond you have?
Yes, sir.
And how much is that?
That bond was for right at $2 million.
Do you have a bond secured at Regions Bank right now?
Yes,
Is that what you're saying? Without us?
Right.
Well, then what do you need us for? I mean, what do you need the commission for?
Bond through the commission.
Are you saying you had a secure bond?
This bond is secured. Wait, Mr.
Did you not say secure? I heard secure.
No, this bond is secured by the 1% sales tax that's passed on to the citizens of the city of York, as well as the appropriation from the waste tax that Kim Waste provides to the hospital.
All right, so now we're on the first bond,
Correct.
3 years ago. Okay.
Correct.
Okay.
2 years ago.
So you have funds from the first bond, correct?
Yes, sir. Those funds were used to pay
And
taxes.
those funds are for if you can't make up the 1 cent in York, and if the waste tax falls there. Are those funds not set aside for that? So you're basically going to rob those funds to pay the second bond.
No, sir. The first bond has nothing to do with the second bond, other than the fact that the overages that the health care authority was receiving would go toward the second bond. The first bond is secured by the city of York's 1% sales tax.
But what if that tax falls below that $10,000?
What if? It hasn't. That's why the trend, we just got an A- rating from S&P. If it's going to fall, that's why you look at the trend. The last 5-year trend has showed where the city of York sales tax has been stable. That's why you receive this A- rating from the S&P stating that the outlook is good. There are no perceived problems, issues, or anything whatsoever.
Well, since
The
the
commissioners.
city
Yes,
of
yeah.
York has such a good rating and stuff, why they can't sign the bond? Because the hospital actually belonged to them, don't it?
The city of York's finances are not at a point where they're able to float another bond.
Well, then where'd the A- come from?
That's where the Standard & Poor's rate the bond that you already have. They tell you how it's doing, how you're doing as far as paying it.
Just the bond.
Attorney Pruitt.
Right.
What you want to say?
I haven't been asked to do anything by the commission, but I would suspect, knowing the condition of York and knowing the condition of the hospital authority, that the rating is based on a guarantee of the county. You're pledging your full faith and credit and taxing power in support of the bond. And the county has the credit rating to sell bonds. If there is a failure to pay the York taxes or the $5,000 per month, then it kicks in for you all to pull money from your general fund to pay the payments as due.
That will be after
the reserve funds that were set up for the initial bond issue,
Right.
2.35, I think 2.35 million bonds, and they're still out there. So if York could guarantee the bonds, I think it would be appropriate because it's a York authority. It's not a county authority, but they can't do it. And the hospital does not have the credit to do it. The only way that the bonds will sell is if the county itself guarantees it, because the county will ultimately have to pay if the hospital fails.
That is correct.
That's about
But there, again, the reserve fund that is set up for Bond 1 has nothing to do with the proposed resolution for Bond 2.
Okay, you
There will be
say,
a separate reserve fund set up for Bond 2, which means that if the tax base falls to a certain level and it's not enough to cover it, before the county commissioner will be responsible for paying that $5,000 per month, you would dip into that reserve fund, pull that $5,000 out per
what tax
month.
base are you talking about? I don't
But
understand
see,
what
we're
you're
not
talking
going to
about.
have any reserve fund from Kim Ways.
No. This has nothing to do with Kim Waste. This reserve fund is going to be set up. It would be set up from the resolution from the funding agreement that we're considering right now. Certain amounts of those funds will be set aside for a reserve fund to be able to indemnify the county as much as possible. So whether it be $100,000, $70,000, $60,000, that money will be set aside just in case the tax base failed. Kim Waste went down. The City of York sales taxes went down, which has been proven that has been stable over the last 5 years. But in order to have that safeguard, in order to make sure that the county is indemnified as much as possible, there's a reserve fund. And it will be set aside to say if the tax basis goes down, we dip into that reserve fund to pay those funds and keep the county from having to pay.
Mr. Ezel.
Ms. Berry? Go ahead, Ms. Berry.
Okay, I'm sorry. But in other words, the way the first bond was set up, the second bond is going to be set the same way. We will have a reserve fund in that bond as well.
But where are you getting the reserve
The
from?
reserve fund comes from the bond itself. Whatever the amount of the bond.
That doesn't make sense.
It-
I mean, it just,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
other commissioners, the reserve fund, money set up to the reserve fund from proceeds from the funding agreement that we're considering.
okay.
That's that's where those funds would come from. They would come from proceeds from the proposed funding agreement. You would set aside $70,000, I forget the exact amount of money, but it would be at least 12 months that the county commission would not have to come out of your pocket with that $5,000 or any money until that reserve fund is depleted.
I'm going to make a statement on 2011, and then I want to ask a question about 2014. On 2011, the reserve fund would not kick in if the waste tax dropped. The waste tax was not included. It's going to kick in terms of the sales tax, but it won't kick in terms of the waste tax. My question on the 2014, and you're saying, but I don't see it in the funding agreement. I'm looking at it, and I don't see anything about setting up a reserve for the 2014 proposed issue.
Yeah, I believe it's in there. If it's not in there, we can put it in there.
It's not, I haven't seen it.
I think it's in there, but if it's not, we can put it in there.
But where,
to my knowledge, it's not in there.
But when you set up the reserve fund, to me, you have a situation where you're only going to have a million and 480. You have a situation where you have debt that almost exceeds $1.480 million. So you're looking at an issue that's going to only pay the payroll-related payable. And if you take out money for the reserve, that's going to even, you got issuing costs.
Well,
When you set up those two reserve funds, you're just making your financial situation worse.
Well, but you're looking at a situation, Ms. Cochran, where we're talking about the outstanding debt, say $900,000 in payroll taxes right now. Once the negotiations are completed, it may go down to $700,000 or $600,000. Because that's what we have a tax attorney working on right now, so that the operating money would be a whole lot more money. But right now, the maximum that we're looking at is about $900,000. But it's going to go down from talking to the tax attorney once we're able to negotiate with the Internal Revenue Service.
Really in your books, on that agent report, I think you have it listed at $600,000, and then the letter from the Internal Revenue Service said it was at $908,000. So it's already written. It's not really on your payable schedule at $900,000. It's on your payable schedule at $600,000.
Right, but we're going to say
So even if you take the $300,000 off of it, you're right back where you were with the 1.3.
So, but if you're looking at 600,000,
Yeah,
if you negotiate down to 600,000, that means you got, if I'm not mistaken, $800,000 to work with, right?
Yeah,
So
but
if you got
I'm saying-
hold on, if you got $800,000 to work with, and we got issuance of the bond, and you also have those two pending litigations. Okay, those two pending litigations are going to be under $200,000 from what we've heard thus far. So you still don't have enough money to operate, and we're also operating in the black right now, commissioners. We're not operating in the red.
Operating in black.
So you're not going to give a recommendation, but
I mean, I'm stating fact. I'm not giving
Can
a
I-
recommendation.
can I-
I'm stating
can I-
fact.
can I-
not yet, not yet.
You know,
You are
I'm
making
stating.
recommendations.
Mr. Lewis, is the hospital operating in the black right now?
We're paying our debts, and we are. The bottom line, net profit, is not in the negative. And I don't know where you look at it.
Well, I look at it like this: if you owe, let's say, payroll taxes that were taken from your employees, if you're operating and you're paying bills, you're paying money with the taxes that really should be paid to the Internal Revenue Service.
That's
That's
So
not true.
you're not. Yes, you got to be.
Can I speak,
Either those monies were used to being used to operate on, or the monies are not there. It's going to be one thing, one or the other.
Go,
Well,
Mr.
that
Am I
money
right?
is those taxes you're talking
Yeah.
about is in a trust fund. We got those taxes now, but it's in a trust fund. We're not paying those taxes. With the monies that he's talking about with the bond issue, but that's going to eliminate that with our counter. Okay, so you're not going to incur any other debt. You eliminate debt. We're current going forward as we speak. So you're not. What you're saying is incorrect.
I'm correct. Hill Hospital is not operating in the black, and that's a statement of fact.
That is not correct, because if you read the financial statement, if we was operating in the red, you're not reading the financial statement, Miss.
Really and truly, you know, and I don't
And that's
have
the
this
problem. You're
conversation
not
with
reading
the
it. You're
gentleman
not
here.
looking at our-
There are no financial statements. You haven't had an audit in 30 years. There are no financial statements.
So,
Period.
I'm not-
I mean, that's it.
So
There
here-
are no financial statements.
so commissioners, here we are, commissioners. We have a very important decision to make. Whether we're ready to make it tonight, it's a decision that's going to affect every citizen in Sumter County, whether you use the hospital or not. As a member of the Healthcare Authority, which I serve now after 3 different commissioners, the commissioner was added to the Healthcare Authority to make sure that the commissioner was kept up to date. You had Commissioner Ellis, Commissioner Spencer, and Commissioner Hardrick, who served prior to my serving on the Healthcare Authority. So I'm not the first commissioner to serve on the Healthcare Authority. And my